There's a certain kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from doing too little, but from doing too much of the wrong things for too long. And what makes it worse is that this kind of exhaustion hides behind praise. People tell you you're hardworking, disciplined, high functioning. You get rewarded for being tired. You get admired for ignoring your body. Somewhere along the way, productivity stopped being a tool and became an identity. And like all identities rooted in performance, it starts to crack when you're alone with yourself. You tell yourself you're being lazy when you pause, that you're falling behind when you slow down. But if doing more was the solution, wouldn't you feel better by now? We live in a world that equates effort with virtue. The busier you are, the more valuable you must be. But ancient Indian thought offers a very different lens. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, there's a line, Ritam cha satyam cha abhidat tapasu adyajayata. From tapas, or deep focused presence, arise both order and truth. Tapas was never about endless doing. It was about conscious presence, about the energy with which you do something, not the volume of things you do. But we've turned life into a checklist. You could meditate, journal, drink a green smoothie, answer emails, take meetings, and still feel utterly disconnected from yourself. Because alignment can't be outsourced to routines. The productivity myth thrives on urgency. The idea that if you don't move faster, something terrible will happen. But pause for a second. Where is that urgency coming from? Who benefits from you never stopping? The mind gets addicted to momentum. It tells you, keep going, just a little more, and dangles peace like a reward at the end of a race it never intends to finish. The truth is, you can't outwork misalignment. You can't brute force clarity. Sometimes your stuckness isn't a sign that you need to do more. It's a sign that you need to do something else. Most people aren't afraid of hard work. What they're afraid of is the stillness that comes with doing less. Because in that stillness, all the buried questions begin to surface. Who am I without my checklist? If I'm not improving, am I still enough? If I'm not useful, am I still worthy? That discomfort pushes us back into motion. But ancient practices like pratyahara, the withdrawal of the senses, were not about escape. They were about creating enough inner silence to notice the patterns we're blindly following. And when you see them clearly, you stop mistaking movement for progress. Let's be honest, some of the busiest people you know are also the most lost. And some of the calmest ones are quietly building lives of meaning behind the scenes. The difference isn't ambition, it's intention. Productivity without clarity is just motion sickness. You get all the symptoms of progress, fatigue, anxiety, adrenaline, but none of the direction. The point of doing isn't to fill your calendar, it's to build a life that actually feels like your own. So what can you actually do when you feel trapped in this loop of endless doing? First, rethink what productivity even means to you. Strip it of the external noise. Forget what it looks like on someone else's Instagram. Ask yourself, what kind of effort feels nourishing to me? Start measuring your day not just by how much you did, but by how much of it felt real. Did you move closer to something that matters to you? Or did you just stay busy to avoid the discomfort of stopping? Second, try introducing something radically simple, a non-performance ritual, something you do that has no outcome attached. Maybe it's making tea slowly, walking without your phone, sitting in silence after you eat, or watching the sky change color at sunset. The key is that it's not being done to fix you, improve you, or get you ahead. It's being done because you're alive. That's it. These small acts of presence rewire your system to value being, not just becoming. Third, edit your input. Not everything needs your attention. If you're always plugged into urgency, news, reels, podcasts, goals, updates, you'll stay in reaction mode. Ancient Indian traditions emphasized Brahma Muhurta, the early morning hour, not just for its silence, but for its signal. That clarity requires space. Try carving out even 20 minutes a day where you don't consume anything. Let your own voice echo again. And finally, begin to treat your energy like sacred currency. Every yes is an investment. Every no is a boundary that protects your future alignment. Before you say yes to the next thing, pause and ask, is this aligned with who I'm becoming, or just who I've been trying to prove I am? Because in the end, this isn't about being less ambitious. It's about being more honest. Not every season requires expansion. Some require integration. Not every day is meant to be optimized. Some are meant to be remembered. So the next time you catch yourself rushing, ask, am I moving from clarity or compulsion? One comes from knowing, the other comes from fear. You're allowed to pause. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to not earn your self-worth by how much you cross off in a day. Not everything that looks productive is truly useful, and not everything that looks still is passive. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop. Not because you've given up, but because you're finally ready to begin again on your own terms.